So in this video, I'm going to be talking about episode 0 of Mushoku Tensei season 2 and going over some of the skipped content. So no, I will be not going over any spoiler content here, simply just going over the skipped content itself, and of course discussing about how the episode turned out, and also previous video about the sort of topic of was this episode rushed, which might I add, for those that did not actually watch the video for context or read the actual question mark at the end of the title, I do not believe it was rushed. I did not think it was at that time, and I still don't think it was, but it really depends on what you defined as rushed, because there are two meanings behind rushed. Rushed and rushed. Rushed in the sense of production, in that sense of like, oh, they rushed it out, it was terrible quality, choppy, that kind of rushed, or the rushed in the sense of story being pushed a lot more faster and rushed so that they could get through critical points so that they could get the story out. Those are the two different meanings of rushed. I don't believe, as far as production, that things were rushed or looked rushed. Whether they did rush the production or not, well, we'll never know, but I don't feel that the episode looked rushed. But then at the same time, you can pause frame at specific points and find any minute details that you don't like. But again, that also comes down to just personal opinion and what you do and don't like in things. But I really enjoyed the first episode itself, episode 0. It's a little bit hard to kind of get used to saying episode 0 because it's the first episode, and but I understand why it was called episode 0, and yeah. And a lot of places are treating it like an OVA. I'm not sure if it's officially classified as an OVA. I don't really care either way, but I was just really happy with how things turned out. But to get over the actual skipped content, there was some stuff that was skipped. Now, for light novel fans, they'll understand that some of this stuff that was skipped, well, particularly one scene, won't be relevant for quite some time, and that was mostly to do with Derek, which was the fella that actually died. There is some stuff there that kind of gives Ariel some motivation to do what she's doing, where she's decided at the end of the episode that she is going to be leaving, she's going to go to the academy, and from that point onwards, escape from all the assassination attempts that are happening in that castle and try and find safe harbor, and then further her plans from there. I'm not going to say what her plans are. If you've watched the episode, you'll have a very good idea of what her plans are, but she is leaving to the academy to push forward her future plans of getting to becoming a ruler of that area. How she does that, again, you'll find out. Derek was a major character and a major pillar point of pushing her in that decision, and that was skipped over in the actual episode itself. I'm sure they will explain different motives in the anime. I don't think it was a make or break component, but I'm sure some light novel fans will feel that it tarnishes the experience because they did cut that out. I think it just comes down to pacing and budgeting. They basically have to put a certain amount of budget and spacing aside and go, okay, this is all we can cover, so we have to pick what we can and cannot have. There was also another scene at the end where they're sort of trekking through the snow, and some anime fans were disappointed that they didn't have the cart. Now, the cart is basically a reference to an extra chapter that was also skipped, which is Ariel going through a town, dealing with assassination plots. I won't say all of what happened in those assassination plots, because there is some stuff that will probably be referenced later. You'll understand if you've read the light novels, but there was an assassination plot done on her where one of her maids actually dies. Now, at the end of season 1, 2 of her maids are actually in the scene, and that is a reference to the extra chapter, but it seems to be they've decided to not have those maids prevalent in the first episode. Now, that doesn't mean that it actually retcons it, because they could just say, hey, these are like assistant maids that have followed afterwards or something. They can easily explain that in something that makes sense, so it's not like it's defining of how it's going to break the series or anything. It's perfectly fine. But there was a scene where she was going through, assassination plots were attempted, people lost their lives, and also guards, and some of the interactions that she has with the common people and also the soldiers themselves, and what people think of her as she was moving through, and people that loved her very dearly because of her charisma. So for me, I understand why it was cut because of budgeting, spacing and all that. It would have been amazing. Like, in an ideal world, if I could have all my dreams come true, a perfect adaptation, one-to-one, would be my ideal dream. But we are in the world of the real world, and not everything is going to turn out exactly how I want. So I have to have some realistic expectations because of budgeting and timing. And so this episode turned out as well as I could hoped, and I really did enjoy it. And I think it also adds for some fun surprises as well. If there's little subtle differences, it just adds for a different experience, because at the end of the day, I know some people hate hearing this, but if you really want the full experience, you can read the light novels if you have time, or you can watch my videos where I go over all the details of what does happen in the light novels in my light novel explained analysis and reviews, which of course is in the playlist for the description down below. So if you want a full deep dive into all the light novels, then those videos are there as well, along with volumes all the way up to 20 currently. So those options are there, but I don't think it felt rushed. Whether it was rushed in production, that is up for discussion. It may or may not, based on some of the talk that episode 0's voice acting, because this came out from the Sylphiate voice actor, that the voicing was done after episode 1. Maybe they decided at a later date to push this particular episode forward to episode 0. Maybe that was a decision, because they could have done it at that point, what they're done now, or they could have done it a little bit later. There are 2 interval points where they could have done this episode. I'm not going to say where for spoiler reasons, but I think it makes sense to put it now, because it allows people to be reintroduced to Sylphia and be like, hey, this is what's happened to her, this is her story, and now we're going to get back into the main story and follow Rudy's journey in the future episodes. So I think that makes sense. Whether people like that or not, that's completely up to you as an individual. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm simply just going to lay down the facts, put down my own opinion, and you can make your own judgment. But I will also be talking about Ariel as well as a character, because I really love her. She is amazing. I just enjoy her as a character, and I think the voice acting was absolutely spot on. I think they really picked a good voice actor. It kind of added that kind of Ara kind of feel to her, and really added to her appeal, as this is say, and especially the flirtation stuff, especially at the fact that they did tone down her kinkiness in this episode as well. And I can kind of understand why, because it did look like they aged her up as well. Because in the light novels, I got mixed up in a stream, but she is apparently 12 years old. I've forgotten again. I read it quite a bit ago, but she is 12 years old at the point when she's introduced into that part of the story where the event with the ball happens. And so to have her as kinky as she is may have triggered some people, so maybe they decided to tone that down a little bit for the anime itself. But she does look a little bit older in the anime as well, so clearly there's some production decisions there, but she still is quite kinky. And they did have the bed scene as well, which many people thought they were actually going to do it, which was really awesome to see that reaction. But I'm really happy they added that scene, so at least they kept some of the core aspects of her funness, let's just say, and the way she swings both ways. So I really love Ariel. I love the reactions that people had, and of course I enjoy seeing some of the people getting upset about her character. But hey, gotta enjoy stuff. So again, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What did you think of episode 0 of Mushoku Tensei season 2? If you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.